Hey, it's me, Anita, and Dolly. We'll be back in 10 segundos.
And we are live. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight at the DNA Authority. I'm Dolly Cortes.
And I am Anita Myers. And this is Wonder Woman Wednesday. And I'm wearing my hoops and I got my hat. And I'm excited because we are going to be talking about what? The power of love, 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 love.
I love it. Oh. I picked the wrong one. So my mistake there, I apologize. They were next to each other and I clicked on the wrong one. It went a little too fast for me. So,
I feel like for a moment I have paper here because I printed some things out and I did one of these. And it just changed my energy. Like I'm on the news and the news.
And we shall get started. How are you, Anita Myers Powers?
I'm doing great. How are you, lovely?
I'm good.
Somebody had a birthday over the weekend. How was your birthday?
The big, what is it? I'm trying to do it.
The big 5-0.
The big 5-0. I have had actually a hell of a weekend. Oh my God. I was so busy this weekend. I mean, I'm always busy, and I know that. And you, as listeners, viewers, are probably tired of hearing me say that, but I was swamped. I actually participated in this amazing global conference that I was pitching, like the Shark Tank, the show, the Shark Tank. Okay.
Yeah.
So here I am, little Dolly with Rose Gold Publishing, pitching to these, millionaire investors about my company. And that experience was, for lack of a better word, it was nerve-wracking. It was amazing. It was awesome, but it was like an emotional roller coaster, even just preparing for it. But it was
what made it what was the one feeling you were going through? You say emotional roller coaster. What was the one main feeling you were going through?
So I think the biggest thing was tired. I was tired. I was exhausted because since it was being hosted in London, it was based on London time, and they're 6 hours ahead. So I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm here and I'm listening to these meetings, and then I'm receiving instructions, and I'm being emailed, and I'm being contacted and by phone and WhatsApp, and it's just going back and forth. So preparing for it was exciting because it made me look at my company as an investor. Right? It made me, be able to present it and speak that language. I felt very comfortable doing it, but it was something that I felt like, damn, bring it.
What's pretty interesting about your story is the fact that your birthday was on Saturday and all of these things were happening all around your birthday. Almost like, on the day that you were born, other things were born for you so that you can go to this next level that you want to. And I think it's so special because, sometimes our birthdays are just birthdays. They're just another day. And I hate to say it that way, but sometimes we just get those days where it's like, well, the sun's out and here we are and it's fine. And then here you are in this moment where it's like, all these things are showing up for you, and actually demanding something of you to rise up to that next level, and you just want to eat it all up. And I'm glad that you took it like you should, and you plowed through it very well. What happened? What ended up happening?
Well, you know what? Before I tell you the outcome, so with all of that was taking place, I held a few meetings. I had like 3 meetings on Saturday morning with my clients and so on and so forth, also my meetup group. But then my husband also pulled me out of my office because he's like, you're not working.
He loves you. Yes.
He loves me. So he's like, you're not working all day, woman. So he pulls me out. He takes me away. We go to a restaurant, had a wonderful time, come back. And, my son, Danny, decides that, no, Mom, you're not going to sit out on your birthday and just watch TV, which is because of the bad weather, what I planned. And then he decides to start inviting people over. And I'm like, whoa, we still have a pandemic. So only my son and his girlfriend ended up coming. My other son and his girlfriend ended up coming. But we had a wonderful time where I even started doing snow angels. If you saw that, yes, I remember. So
you did it. You did it. I was so proud of you. That was so good. And didn't that feel great? Didn't that feel great? Didn't that feel great?
It was fantastic, but the snow was heavy, but I had fun. It was truly a blast that I had. But the outcome, going back to the conference, the outcome of the conference on Sunday was, here I pitch. I have like 6 people in the room, and I'm pitching to them. And they say, Dolly, you don't need us. Everything that you have in place, it's already the right path that you should be in. And then they just gave me 2 or 3 pieces of advice to go with that. And that was really my ultimate goal. That's what I told my husband. I said, I want to see how far I can go into this. And from there, I'll make a decision, because, when you get an investor in the company, Anita, you're giving part of your equity of your company away. And I wasn't sure if I was willing to give up any of my equity away.
It's Shark Tank. Yeah. Like, if they're going to help you, you got to help them.
Exactly. So
and you're like, I don't know if I'm willing to let go of a part of my business.
I don't know if I'm willing to let go, because I love my baby. I love my company. Right. So when I'm there, I do my pitch and they tell me, you don't need us. You can do this on your own based on everything that you've shared with us already. I'm like, what a relief. So like, it was really cool. Just the fact that I got that far.
Yeah.
And being told, you don't need us. It was honestly pretty awesome.
Yeah. I think that spoke volumes, because here you are, the truth of things is you're growing from where you were with, like, the concept of the seed, and then it sprouts through the soil, and you're like, I want more things. And the thing is that while that opportunity was totally a wonderful opportunity to have, to hear people that have been there and done that, and they see where you are and say that to you, that really should propel you from where you thought you could be to where you can go.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. And my husband and I, we met, like, we just kept talking about, if they give me an offer, what is my offer back? What am I offering them so that we can make a deal? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, that's a hard one. It's just like, because this is my baby, Anita, talking about love. I love what I do. Yeah. I love my company.
But you know what? Just look at it this way. Let me just tell you. You've got your baby, Danny.
Yeah.
And you got your baby, Will.
Yeah.
And you got to let him go.
Yeah.
There's going to be a part of that stays with you.
Yeah.
But there is a part that you have to let them go into the world and let the world enjoy what you've done. And so you still get a bit of it. You always will, because you're their mama. So even with businesses, this is about making the right choice and who you're going to have this agreement with. But you don't lose 100%. You just lose when it's not even a loss. It's an investment. So it all ends up
an investment. And I was willing to invest some, but I was just like, how does this work? I don't know. I'm so new at this. But it was an exciting, nerve-wracking, process.
I think you needed that. You needed that, because it just opens your eyes, and you realize that you are loved, and that is what we're talking about today. You were so
Everybody.
loved over the weekend. You were loved by, you're always loved. You're always loved every
No,
day.
I probably had like 500 birthday messages. It was insane. I was approached through every social media app through this, which I thought that was so sweet, and I'm so grateful. So yes, and I love back. I just love, I love people, and I love, that they did that. So I thought it was so awesome.
I'm glad. I am so glad for you. Everyone, that's the one thing with social media. If that's so funny how this works, but there's things that we don't like about social media that frustrate us and, stuff like that. But when it comes down to your birthday, there's something that, when you see all these, especially, if you are someone who's active on social media like you are, and for your business purposes and personal purposes, but when you get up in the morning and you go about your day, you have to work, and then you finally come back and you're like, whoa, they all took that moment. That's how I look at it. They didn't have to. There's people that see it and go right past it, but the ones who do and go out of their way to say something, I think that's really special. I always appreciate stuff like that. So I'm sure you were just kind of like
one of the first ones. You were one of the first ones to reach out. So thank you.
Anita
Myers Powers.
Well, you're my girl, and I knew that this weekend was going to be very important for you. And I know that this is a time where a lot of people, like I'm just going to ask out there, for those of you that are watching, I see Rima. Hi, Rima. Thanks for joining us. And Sonia, thank you again. I love that you guys are here. Anyone else that's watching us that wants to say hi to us. When you think about people, I don't know if you've already celebrated your birthday or you're going to celebrate, but through the pandemic, all of us will be celebrating our birthday through the pandemic. I think it started in March. Was that right? It started in March of last year?
Well, yeah, that's when the shutdown took place, the lockdown.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like the COVID came before, and then whatever. So, this is something where some people have really, unfortunately, it's a suffer. You're not able to do things that you typically would do, but it does grow you in terms of your character. Of what do you do? How do you adjust? How do you make it work? And look what happened with you. What did I say to you on the phone? I'm like, you know what? When is Jennifer Lopez's birthday? That's when we're going to celebrate your birthday. I was just trying to come up with a way for you to really make it a big thing. I know you wanted to celebrate big, and
I did. I wanted to have a party. I was like, for my big 5-0, I'm going to have fun. I want to have my friends. I'm going to have my family. I just want to have a party. You know why? Not because it's my birthday, because I love life. And I think we all need to celebrate. And being born 50 years ago, man, that sounds old, but being born 50 years ago and still here with passion and drive and, with my intention of motivating individuals and helping others, I want to celebrate.
50 it's the new 30. I mean, I don't view it anymore. I'll be 49 this year in May. And by the way, Rima, you're going to turn whatever you're going to turn on the 5th. So I'm going to say early happy birthday to you. Thank you for telling us that. But, just think about, we do this, we look at a number and we suddenly measure that, and we depend, we kind of put a dependence on that number. But I've learned, and I'm sure you did too, but we have an experience. We experienced life. We're still here. So if I get blessed enough to get through to 49 and then to 50 and then to 51 and keep going, like, that's just so great to me, because I want to get there. I want to have another year. I want to be able to get another day if I could, and do things, because the world is calling upon us to share some really important messages, right, Dolly Cortes?
Yes. And I think that one of the most important messages that we are going to be talking about tonight is the power of love. Anita, why is love so important?
Oh my gosh, I don't think we have enough time on the show to talk about love. So, I think my world and my religion and my language all revolves around love. And I feel like there are so many topics to talk about, but I had to think, structure, agenda, 1 hour, and we're going to eventually think about shortening our time just to make it quick because we know the world wants to learn information fast. But right now,
I don't know how we're going to do it.
Yeah, we still have a time limit. So, I wanted to kind of cover a couple of things with you when it comes to love, because I think in our time right now, there are a lot of misguided messages that are going through children, that are going through teenagers, college students, adults, people who are, I know, and I've got clients who are in their 40s and 50s who, I'm working with them for separate matters, but they're single and they're looking, they just got divorced, or they were divorced for a while, or maybe they were just single and they want to look for love. And there's so many mixed messages, so many mixed roles, so many things that are being told that don't make so much sense. And I'm hearing, somewhat broken hearts of, will I ever find love? Yeah. And there is that. There's also just the concept of mixed messages about how we should take care of ourselves. Self-worth. I know that there's plenty of people that don't know what it feels like to feel worthy. I used to be one of those. I know I could play a good role in front of people and get through society, social things. But, I had to question that myself because I leaned towards the people that were in my life. That's what we do as children. That's all you can do. Right. And the definitions were not the definitions that I believe that they are today. So I wanted to have some fun instead of getting so serious and deep and profound about some of the calamities and issues that we go through. I thought we could just kind of have a little fun in talking about some of these topics that I think is important for all of us to look at. So, all right. I don't know if you saw the title of this, The Power of Love. And we always talk about the power of XYZ. But, I started thinking of Huey Lewis and the News and their song, Power of Love. You know how that goes. I wish we could put like songs on here without getting cut off by the Facebook.
Yeah,
police, but
the Facebook police will cut us off.
Yeah, play the song in your head. It's just awesome. Okay. Huey Lewis just has the same voice in every song he sings, but you always know that it's his song. But anyway, that was a good one. So I have the topic of you give love a bad name. That's the topic that we're covering for this moment. And what I mean by that is, when you think about you give love a bad name, which we all know who sang that song. Little trivia there. If you don't know, then let us know. Is really about what gives love a bad name. So those of you that are watching right now, what gives love a bad name? And Dolly, what gives love a bad name?
Well, what gives love a bad name is we talked a little bit about manipulation within love, supposedly, right? Because sometimes our family, our potential, maybe even our friends or potential loved one will try to manipulate certain things, and we don't think that's love. And, I even said today, love shouldn't hurt. Love should not hurt.
Love hurts. Yeah.
But love, it's supposed to be a grand feeling. It shouldn't be about you controlling this person. Like, if you don't come over here, that means you don't love me, or in that sense of manipulation. Do what I'm asking you to do, you don't love me. Or when it comes to cases like abuse, for example, I did this because you made me, but I still love you. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, I'm keeping it real, Hey. No, it's not. That's what gives love a bad name. And I think that's why when people go through these difficult situations and relationships and toxicity, that's why they want to give up on it.
Yeah. Love. I segmented it to two things because there's a lot of things that give love a bad name, and we could look at the details of each one, but I kind of segmented it where there's toxic relationships in general, toxic relationships that have a ton of things underneath there, and controlling families. And so first, the toxic relationships, you're already talking about that. There are relationships that are involving manipulation. And yes, I even mentioned, control is still in there too. Manipulation, redefining how you believe things, taking advantage of who you are as an individual. There's that whole narcissistic versus the empathic person where, disrespect is high and the absolute concept of love is low. But in these moments, well, when we say you give love a bad name, more than anybody that I have the very first poem that I put in my book, The Undercover Superhero, this book right here. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Little shameless plug. The first poem that I had is called A Love Story. And if you were to see this book and you were to read it, you would realize where love was given a bad name. It was not love at all. So when you're in a toxic relationship, they'll say, but I love you, baby. But I love you. And, when it comes down to controlling families, I can't speak for your family, and I won't speak for your family. For me, I know what it felt like, because sometimes families have very good intentions. I believe they do. But what they've learned in their culture, what they've learned in their religious ways, what they've learned in community, has them feeling like, they need to control every move, every thought, every feeling based on their life, their world, their way. And the children just follow through on whatever was told to them, not really gaining the independence of kind of having a free thought, having a free understanding, trying something new. So that it does become a controlling situation that makes children grow up feeling reserved, insecure, and unwilling to branch out. And it takes a lot of work, because they had thought this is the way it was. And I speak for myself. I went through that a lot, and I needed to break through a lot of walls, emotional walls, to explore and see that it really isn't so bad out there.
Today, if I could just share this, my husband was sitting on the couch and he was just quiet,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey, you okay? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm just thinking. I'm like, what's going on? And then he shared to me, he's like, I'm just so happy. And I loved hearing that. And I'm like, oh, really? What's going on? Because I want to know more now, right? And he says, as a child, I had so many restrictions, so many things that were controlling me. And, as you're saying, it made me think of him. And he said, here I can cook in my house. I can walk around. I can have the dogs. I can sit on the couch. I can watch TV. He said, at least 9 out of those 10 things he couldn't do as a child. Sometimes 2 months would go by before he could watch the TV set. He was not allowed to cook in his own house, in his own kitchen. He was restricted to a specific area of the home at all times. He didn't even have the freedom to open a refrigerator. So it was like, I'm listening to some of this. That's control. That's not love.
Right. And again, I don't want to make anyone feel that if there could be viewers that are watching this and listening to this and thinking, no, Anita, I did love, that's understandable. That somewhere in what what somebody was doing out there in growing your child and wanting them to be safe. Sometimes when we look at the reasons why parents did what they did, is they really thought that they were doing the right thing and the best thing for them. And I understand that. And I can talk about that all day. But when we look at the end result, how it was delivered, is really big factor in how a child will take that information, process it, and decide if they're going to move forward or not. So if you are someone that's, maybe you have children right now, when we talk about control, like, you do what you do to make sure that your child is safe and good. And sometimes you use methods that you learn from your parents and your community and your way. And we can laugh about it because we all survived. Okay. Corporal punishment. That's just what would happen. But in the end, if you could do it better, if you can still get your message across without having to go down those routes, instead of it being a controlling thing, if it were a guidance, if there was a sense of respect place that's a little bit different than how you did it before, and you hold those conversations, you'll see the freedom that comes through that love brings to the table. And that's where love is felt in a much better, healthier way. And so when we say you give love a bad name, we're saying, when you use these tactics that become natural to you because you've been through it, so you're just going to naturally do it too, whether it's verbal or physical, it might come across wrong. So just to kind of think about those things. And that's what I meant for you give love a bad name. So we have the next topic to share that I want to go through with you. And maybe before I do you want to take us through to the first commercial?
Yeah, we could do that. We'll be right back.
Okay.
I can't get enough of it, I swear.
I love you. Well, you know what? Before I even go to the next one, why don't you share? I know you have a lovely quote you'd like to share.
I do have a lovely quote, and I will share a little story behind that little quote. So, I love you not only for what you are, but for what I am when I'm with you. And I love that. So when I was going to marry my soulmate, my sweetheart, and I decided to go to a bridal show, I happened to see that quote, and I have it framed in my bedroom. And here today, I'm preparing for the show, and I find those same words. And it just really spoke to me because, for me, it's not about changing who we are to accommodate the other person. It's about accepting who we are and enhancing that person. And that's what that message says to me.
Say that quote again. It's really beautiful. I know we've all heard it before at some point, but I love hearing it.
Yeah, it's I love you not only for what you are, but for what I am when I'm with you.
That's just so romantic.
Isn't it?
I am such a mush pot with these things. I just love that. That's a great quote. Who said it?
You know what? Authors unknown.
Oh, no.
Yes. So Dolly Cortes said it tonight. That's who
I like that. Own it.
Yeah. No, but you know what? This is the deal. Look, I remember one of the things that made me fall for Hector hard was when he said to me, I want you to succeed with or without me. When I was about to embark in my own company, I want you to succeed with or without me.
That's a very, very profound message for you specifically, even though it's so beautiful just as it is.
Yeah,
it really is. But I think that is so perfect for what you needed to hear, because you left a relationship where you had no freedom and independence to be you. And he's basically saying, you be you, girlfriend. I love you.
No, and that was huge to me because to me, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted someone to come into my life that was willing and open to come into my world. It wasn't just someone who wanted to be my partner. I wanted to be part of my world. Why are you smiling?
I was listening to you, and you brought up a topic about what made you, what was the reason that you fell in love with your beautiful, amazing husband. And I was obviously across my mind, well, what was mine? And I just started giggling just because of my story. It's just
okay. You gotta share now. You gotta share.
I know. Like, I was trying to keep it together because I really didn't want to share it, but just unfortunately, too much of transparency is just unfortunate. So okay, so this is what happened. So I was in so I'm in this single place in my life, and I've always been, and again, I don't know how anyone's going to feel about this, but this is just what it was, and I hold no regret. I think it was absolutely the best time of my life. I was always a monogamous relationshipper. Okay. Most of us are this way. You just learn that you go out with one person, you have this long relationship, and then it doesn't work out, and then you're heartbroken, and then you have to start all over again. And that's how we've always gone through things. And long story short was I had made a decision in my 20s that I was no longer going to do that, that I wanted to live life like Happy Days, with the fun and everything else, where, everyone dated very recreationally. That's what they did. And when you finally, when the man finally wanted to be with one individual, that you would go steady. And so then I remembered that idea of, dating recreationally. Why do I have to be in such a committed relationship for so long and then find out that it's just wasteful? I've put all this dedication into one individual, and then my heart would break and I'd have to start all over again and, heal myself and go right into I just didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to have my life my way. And so I started dating recreationally, and that was so much fun. But here's what ended up, we could talk about that later. So what ended up happening was I'm dating 5 different people. This is not my normal way of living. It took me forever to have a boyfriend. And when I did, it was very rare. I didn't have boyfriends lining up to see me. And so here I was.
We had 5 of them at once.
Yeah. I was like, I say it in a very proud way because I finally realized what freedom felt like, and just be, it was my rules, my way. I wasn't like being that kind of a woman as we see things anymore. It's, it was a respectful, enjoyable time for me. And everybody knew. Like, it wasn't like I was hiding anything. I would say, I would like to have a non-exclusive relationship with you. If you want to have anything to do with me, I'd like it to be non-exclusive. I don't want any kind of and what ended up happening was these guys were like, great. Like, they don't have to worry about a toothbrush in their drawer or anything like they just didn't have to worry about it. And I didn't want to worry about it either. So it was a great relationship. So five different people. And I was really enjoying the way things were because I was free. I wasn't locked into some relationship that would end up breaking my heart. It was just one of my tactics of trying to be, just to have my life the way I want. Okay. And in comes my husband. I wasn't looking. I'm doing just fine. Working hard, making money, doing my thing. And he comes along. And the thing that he said when he asked me if, he'd like to date me, the way he had asked, I had already said, no, I thought this guy's going to have to leave when I said what I said. I said, I'm already dating 5 guys. I don't have room for a 6th. Okay. Like, who talks that way? I don't know.
Myers-Flowers.
I'm just a nice person, but I said that because I was gaining my sense of self, and I didn't want. He was in the same industry that I was in. We were both in a modeling career doing stuff. And I just told him, I said, I wasn't rude to him. I just said, I'm already dating 5. I really don't have time to add another one, but thanks, whatever. And he said, that's okay. I'll wait. And that was it for me, because I had thought that he would have said, what a bitch. I'm leaving. I don't need to hear this. Oh, she thinks she's all that, and I wasn't trying to sound like that, but this is what it was. But he's like, that's okay. I'll wait. And he didn't wait for very long. Just we.
Awesome.
Yeah. Within the week, one by one, it was done. He was the one, and the rest is history. 20. I've been with him for 24 years. Married 20. It's a
process of elimination, darling.
Quick.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we should, being honest about what's going on. In my opinion, from my world, I've learned that transparency is important, because that person gets to know you, and if they don't want to be with you, that's okay, because there's one that will. Yeah, there's one that will, and it's shocking.
You have 5 to choose from.
It's not. I don't want to make it sound like they all were vying for my attention. They couldn't wait to marry me, but these were just, It was really recreational, casual dating, and it was nice to have my life a little bit busy for a while. I enjoyed that. That was a good time.
That sounds like it was fun. All right,
yeah.
Next one, darling.
The next one is, I was thinking of the other 80s song that has love in it, and it's Love is a Battlefield. And I wanted to pose the question of, why is love a battlefield?
I think of jealousy. Sometimes I think battlefield jealousy. I think also of insecurities of a partner. And sometimes the insecurities is, I don't feel good about myself, so I'm going to make that person not feel so good about themselves because I need to lift myself a little bit higher, which obviously I don't agree with, but it happens. It's a reality.
Right. You
Yeah.
know, when we look at a battlefield, I look at it as you want to win when you get on a battlefield. Both teams want to win. And you've got, I'm going to say it like team good and team not so good, right? One is better than the other. They're not truly equal. But in these battlefields, I look at it more like the battles between the emotions, the battle of wits, the battle of all of these different things that start swirling in our emotions. When we're younger, we can dream, we could look at movies and say, I'm going to have it like that. Danny Zuko is going to put me in his car. We're going to go flying off into the sunset and being married forever from Greece, if anyone knows what Danny Zuko.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We can sit there and dream and dream and dream. And then finally we hit reality. And the battlefield begins because we aren't given a really good standard of how to manage challenges, what good relationships and healthy relationships should look like when we're at school. Think about what we did. We reacted. Someone said, will you go out with me? And you say, okay. And then you go out. And then you see what happens. And it's like, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you text me? Why didn't you, and all of these things are curiosities, fears, insecurities, and then of course the things we just talked about, some things that are toxic. We don't know how to manage those things. So we go through this battlefield between, I'm going to call it good and evil. I don't mean to call bad people evil. Bad people are hurt people and they were hurt by somebody else. And we know how that works, but how do you navigate through that?
You know what? Let me tell you how you navigate through that. Let me tell you. First of all, before honest to God, this is how I feel today. Okay. I tell my husband now, I'm like, we've been together over 3 years and we're still talking. So we must be doing something right. It's a good thing. But what was right, what worked for us when we started dating is we already knew what we wanted and we knew what we didn't want in a relationship. You know what I mean? We knew what we wanted. I wasn't after, I didn't want someone to be in my life because I wanted someone to be taking care of me, be my knight in shining armor.
But you knew what you wanted. You knew what you wanted.
Exactly. I knew what I wanted.
I knew what you wanted, though. After having been through what you've been through, it makes it very like the people that are in their, like I would say people that are in their 30s and 40s, possibly, if you've gone through marriage and you go through a divorce and then now you're about to date, you are so much more well-versed of what you don't want and what you do want. So it makes it, that's why you see women today, we make decisions really quickly. We don't have time to sit and navigate through what we want, what we don't. We kind of know it better. So you entered this relationship very clear with what you wanted, kind of like what I was when I knew that I was with my husband. Before anything, I literally was making an agreement with him, like right then and there, like this is how it's going to go now, because I was clear. I needed to be clear. And I think that's what I hope to see people, when you're going to go into a battlefield, you have to know the strategies you're going to be taking. You need to know who you are.
Well, let me share this because I think
sure.
I think you're gonna laugh. So, I'm Puerto Rican for those of you who don't know. So, my mom, I love her. I love you, Mom.
She started with an I love you, Mom. So where is this gonna go?
I love you, Mom. No, this is funny. So
all right.
So she just one day I'm going on a business trip and my mom is like, what do you mean you're going on a business trip? I'm like, I'm going on a business trip. And she's like, well, what did your husband say? I'm like, what do you mean? What did he say? What is there to say? I'm going on a business trip. He knows I'm leaving.
Yeah.
She goes, you're a married woman. You gotta stay home now. You gotta, you don't want to lose him. And I'm like, are you for real? And she kept on and on and on and on. That call did not go well for my mom.
That's so funny.
Oh boy. I must be honest. And of course, I'm summarizing. But I tell you, it was like, no, this is who I am. I refuse, as going back to I know what I wanted, I refuse to not be me. And one of the comments my mother said was, what if he doesn't like that? What are you going to do? And I'm like, if he doesn't like that I travel because of work, then he's with the wrong person, and so am I. You know? Because
Isn't that interesting when you look at how, different generations, different rules, and everybody's built differently. What you settle for, and I don't want to say the word settle, but this is what we decide. We pick and choose what our battles are going to be. And not everybody is going to like what you choose that you're going to want is not going to be what someone else is going to choose. There are women that do things very differently than the way you and I do things. And that's what I think is so beautiful about being different. Everyone is different. Everyone's built differently. Some things are common ground understanding for common sense on how we behave. And that's what we're talking about. But in general, it's just so interesting to see how, she holds her fear because what she knows in her life from her upbringing in her ways, like, you can't do that. You got to stay home. That's just what it was. And I can understand that. I can understand her saying that, but it's hard to see the transition to let her, you growing up, you're growing up in a different kind of a world, and the independence of a woman is very different.
Yeah.
And look what happened. Here you are. And this is something that she had to learn, that it's really going to be okay.
My mom is going through like growing pains. Every time I tell her, Mom, I'm doing this. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
She's the cutest little thing, but she's like, oh my God, Dolly, are you sure? And she goes, and how are you doing in your business? Are you sure you don't want to go work for someone else? No, Mom, I'm positive. Thank you very much. She brings
that's so incredible how that, that's who she is. And, she loves you through all of those concerns. That's, I think, one of the things that when we talk about love as a battlefield, also, it's not always about relationships like what we talked about, lovers and husband-wife thing, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. This is also just love with our parents, love with our friends. It is a battlefield sometimes when we see differences that we don't understand. And, you do, because you are the family that you are, and you just said that call did not go well. Okay. But you still love you both.
I felt so bad. But I'm like, Mom, you need to stop. You need to stop. You need to stop. And she just wouldn't stop. So that call did not end well.
Yeah, but I think that's the part of the battlefield. And when you know who you're working with, when you know who you are, then the conversations get a little bit easier, and it's not such a battle, and that's the part. I think that's the thing that we need to have more and more conversations where we can slow our roll a little bit and look at where it's coming from. I have to do this. And unfortunately, I don't get to have these conversations with my parents because they're not here with me to do that. But I talk to them in my own way, where there are days where I'm like, Mom, you're right. I don't know why I argued with you on that one. I was wrong. You're so right. I wish you were here so I could look at you in the eyes and tell you were right.
Oh.
There are other times where I'm like, Dad, see, I needed to do it, and I did it. But anyway, I hope people could see when we talk about these fun little, love is a battlefield. Look at the battlefield that you've got going on now, whether it's you with your work, you with your family, you with your friends, finding a loved one or being with a loved one. What are the elements in your battlefield, and who are you in this, and who is that person you're fighting with? Is it worth it? Do you have the ammo you need, or do you really need to even use any of it? Lots of things to discuss there in terms of the details, but it's important to start looking at that so that you can revive love and fight for love's cause more than fighting for being right. Does that make sense?
Oh, I agree. I totally agree, but I always go by love doesn't hurt. It shouldn't hurt. I will stand by that. Love does not hurt.
I still thing. I think, gosh, talking to you, it's like I freaking can never do an hour show with you. I need to do like 5 hours because I want to battle that with you.
Love should not hurt.
I want to dance battle it.
No, but you know what I mean? You're so funny. But love should not hurt. Love brings you joy. It brings you happiness. And I know it sounds corny, people. I know it. I get it. But love should not hurt. Love should not hurt. When somebody tells you that I do this because I love you and they're slapping you, I mean, that's never happened to me. I'm just saying. That's never happened to me. But, I'm just being, like, if you love someone, why would you do that to someone? Or why would you put them down? Why would you make them feel less than? Love should not hurt.
I know where you're going with that, and I understand that. I think when I think about the hurting part, I look at the other areas where love can hurt, and it's not abusive. It's more where your heart aches when you see someone. Like, I'm just going to give an example. It's not in my world, but I know I empathize with it with people I know. You have a child. The child's a teenager. The child is now caught up in something that you never imagined he or she would be caught up in. Maybe they're in drugs. Maybe they're doing something badly. And you love, I mean, I could cry just thinking about it. Just the fact of knowing a mother's love, a parent's love, a friend's love, an instructor's love for someone who you see that they're struggling and you can't get through and you don't know what more you can do because you've done just about everything. This is where love, in my opinion, can hurt because you're doing everything you can because you love them so much, but you're watching them having to live their life in their way and they're making mistakes along the way and you can't do anything. That's where I can see love. It hurts because, you know, you want so much for somebody, but sometimes you're going to have to let them be. As a parent, it's very difficult because you want it to be this way and they go in a way that hurts them.
Yeah.
And you're stuck.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see that viewpoint. I can see it. I
hate thinking about it because it makes me so sad because I
think rescue it. Kids, I tell you, I'm so lucky. They're both great kids. I mean, you know, men, adults, so weird. They're both great kids. And yeah, I mean, even when they were going through something growing up, it does affect you, especially as a parent. You want to always give them the best.
Or what about this? I mean, I hate to say this, but this is what it is. What if you're a parent of a daughter and the daughter falls in love with a dude that's a douche? I mean, that's just a bad dude. And you can't stop it. You just watch her deal with it. And you know, those are things that are hard in terms of parenting. But there's a lot of other examples where I think because we love, because, you know, we want the best, and it's not going to go the way we want it to go. Like that control thing, we do our best, and it's still going in the direction that it's going. And we have to sometimes, you know, when you love someone, the best thing to do is let it go. And it's the worst feeling that you have because as a parent, especially, or someone that you are very tight with, even if you're a best friend, that letting go part is the struggle.
It is. It is a struggle. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Can you just look at all those books and all the music makes me think of victory and triumph and success and like all these books. I got goosies over the whole thing.
No, you know what? I just actually just took that picture and I added 2 or 3 more books already. I just published another one today, and I'm on track, God willing, to publish 2 more by the end of the month. So it's, you know, I'm blessed. I'm grateful. I'm so thankful to all of my clients that trust me to help them, you know, share their story and help them with their healing process. So
that's great. Hey, listen, do me a favor, my love. Take a look at the comments. My eyes aren't helping me, but we got some comments from some lovely ladies in the house.
All right. Well, let's see what Sonia is saying here. Sonia is saying that hurt is when you can't control situation. Other choices are not the way they love us. That is very true. Rima says my commercial is cinematic. Yes, it is, darling.
Yeah.
Let me see. Rima said also that love. Let me see. Hold on. Love is not love when there's manipulation. Love should not hurt mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically. By Sonia. So absolutely, ladies. yeah, I mean,
Thank you for that. I love it. I love
I appreciate
conversations. I love conversations. I love when they interact and keep interacting with us because we want to hear what you have to say. If we don't get to your comments or you watch it later on and you comment, we will still respond because we love you.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we love what we do.
So here we are towards the end of the road here, and I've got one last one to share. One topic of that's a song that's in the 80s, but that really helps us out.
Yeah.
What's love got to do with it? So what's love got to do with it? Right?
What's love got to do with it?
I was thinking about that song, and it's like, I want to be able to discuss, why is love important? What does love have to do with it? It has a lot to do with it. You know, our world, especially now, you know, we've been given waves and waves and waves crashing of a lot of confusion, a lot of information, a lot of different emotional struggles that every person's going through in their own way, and we're all learning to adjust. Some of us have lost people. Some of us are, you know, trying to protect ourselves, and some people go in a very strong way of protection, and some are very free in their thoughts of protection. What's right? What's wrong? What fits me? And so, you know, the concept that I was thinking about is, you know, why is love so important right now? You know, so I wanted to kind of bring that thought is, you know, if we could finish the sentence of love is when, and you think of, like, you know, what is love? What is the importance of love?
Oh man. Okay, so here we have Brian that says love will keep us together. Ah, love. Come on.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Keep us together. There you go.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. I love you. That was awesome.
Brian distracted me. Could you repeat your question?
Well, you know, when we're talking about the idea of, well, what's love got to do with it? So my rebuttal is, or my response is, love has everything to do with it.
Right.
So the reason why I'm saying love has everything to do with it, and I think you all believe in some way that love has everything to do with it. Brian, stop it. Love has everything to do with it. Why? You know, what is love?
Well,
love is what? Where is love residing? What is love? So let's do it that way. What is love for you?
So, okay, so I think this will bring me to a slide, a picture that I would like to show, and
Go for it.
everyone too. So just give me 1 second, por favor.
Captain.
Yes, that indeed he is. Okay, here we go. So here we're talking. This is something that is very powerful, and I hope you can see it okay. But love.
Can you blow that up at all, or is that as big as you can make it?
That's as big as I can, that I figured out how to make it. But
okay.
I'll read to you a little bit. But this is all about the vibrational scale of consciousness. And here it says, to understand the power of love, I get to share with you the vibrational scale of consciousness. And in this diagram, it shows you the different human emotions and their frequency. So, you know how, you know, I always talk through my program, through my coaching, you know, I do have conversations about shame, about guilt, about grief, about fear, about forgiveness, and so on and so forth. So if you're able to see this here, you know, in this scale, it talks about, you know, emotions are an energy in motion. Energy vibrates at a certain frequency, and is the law of vibration activates the law of attraction, which I am a hardcore believer of, so that the energy you send out by the emotions you hold in your body gets reflected back to you by attracting things, people, and or events of like energy. So when you look here at the frequency, let me see if maybe this will help. Can you see it there a little bit better? But when you see here, the frequency is 500 on a vibration scale, okay, for love. When you look at shame, it's 20. You look at guilt, it's 30. This is when you have someone that's really, really super down. Grief, 75. Fear, 100. But love is up here. Love is 500. Joy is 540. Peace is 600. I know that when I was in my lowest point in my life, all I seeked was peace. Peace. That's what I wanted. And when I mean, there was a point that I unknowingly had a sense of shame, though that emotion of shame with me. I definitely had fear. I even had PTSD at one time. And there were so many different emotions that were taking place. Fear and below was like me wholeheartedly. But then I wanted love, I wanted joy, I wanted peace. And I tell you that when I found it, Anita, when I found it, everything changed. Everything changed. And people say, like, really, she's that happy? Yeah, I am. I am. But it's because of the energy that I give, the emotions that I have, and the intention that I didn't want to feel that way anymore. I didn't want to feel down. So what does love have to do with it? Everything. Love is everything. If you And it starts with loving yourself, in my opinion. I didn't at one time. I didn't. I didn't even like the person in the mirror. But once I flipped that switch and I said, are you kidding? I'm amazing. I accepted who I was. I accepted what I was able to do, what I'm able to create, how I'm able to touch people. It's been a hell of a ride.
I think when it comes down to the concept of the power of love that we were talking about, I'm glad that you brought up the frequencies, and we can look at it a little bit deeper. And on your own, any viewers out there, go look that up and start thinking about, where are you focusing your own energy as you're operating through your life, with or without a significant other, with or without that great job, with or without that relationship with your family. It doesn't matter where you are. Just kind of find out, if you feel like you spend your life in fear, if you feel like you spend your life in insecurities and shame and guilt and all that, then address it. You talk to us. This is what we do. This is what I do for a living. I work with people working with their emotional intelligence and where their emotional powers need to be, what the emotional temperature in the landscape needs to be. She obviously is doing the same sort of idea where, she's helping with writing so you can heal, and she'll tell you more about that. So, when it comes down to, when we look at the frequencies of what we might be feeling in our energy, if we can really start to work on those negative feelings and kind of get those out of our system and refocus ourselves to what the powerful frequencies can be for peace, joy, all the other things that you mentioned there, and stay focused on that, then it will start to transform you. Like for you, you were able to see that works much better. And the winds are so much easier to sleep with at night, to feel those feelings. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. I think it's very important. And I hope those of you that are watching today feel a sense of influence to go after that, go after love. And it's the way I like to say, you want to let love rule. That's a Lenny Kravitz song. I mean, I just love it so much, but that's got to be the way to lead your life.
It really does. I mean, it for me is love, joy, happiness, peace. With love, you have peace. You have peace. And when people, there's a lot of uncertainty in this world. There just is. And, I because of my conference this weekend, I actually found a national survey, that said that due to the pandemic, 59% of the adults in the United States have been affected with mental illness.
I can't even go there. We're gonna have to pick that up on another one, because I know that if I go there right now, we're gonna talk. We're not gonna have this show done. We're gonna talk, because
sure.
that's such a it charges me so much. I don't even know what we're going to find out when all of this is, the news starts to surface. That's a tough one. It's a very tough one.
That absolutely is a show or two for us to address. But the only reason why I bring it up is this, as down as we are, and I say this with all the love and respect and kindness to our listeners and viewers, but as down as we are, we also have a choice to make. And that choice is, do we want to stay where we are in that, darkness, or do we choose to get out of it? And it starts with making a decision. And I know it may sound hard, but I've done it, and I know it's doable. So,
well, before we leave, I know we have like 2 more minutes, and I hate to I love to always, just so you know, everyone here, for the record, every time Dolly speaks, I just want to always address what she says and honor it and just take time to like kind of like go, that was really good. I love what you said and every word, and repeat some of the things. And because of time, I have to be like, okay, great. So now I'll go ahead and share what I have to share. I want to say, Dolly, that was really good. I'm really glad you shared that. I have one last thing. It is a read I wanted to read to you because I think it's important. And if you have to go, I'm sorry, go back and watch this again and just listen to what I'm going to share with you, because I grabbed this. This is an excerpt from a book that's called The 7 Natural Laws of Love. And it's by Deborah Anapol. And I just want to tell you, when I read this, it just made the love energy in my cells just celebrate and dance. I wish I wrote this, okay? But she did. And I'm going to read what she wrote about what love is. And it goes like this.
Go for it.
Love is a force of nature. However much we may want to, we cannot command, demand, or take away love any more than we can command the moon and the stars and the wind and the rain to come and go according to our whims. We may have some limited ability to change the weather, but we do so at the risk of upsetting an ecological balance we don't fully understand. Similarly, we can stage a seduction or mount a courtship, but the result is more likely to be infatuation or two illusions dancing together than love. Love is bigger than you are. You can invite love, but you cannot dictate how, when, and where love expresses itself. You can choose to surrender to love or not. But in the end, love strikes like lightning, unpredictable and irrefutable. You can even find yourself loving people you don't like at all. Love does not come with conditions, stipulations, addenda, or codes. Like the sun, love radiates independently of our fears and desires. Love is inherently free. It cannot be bought, sold, or traded. You cannot make someone love you, nor can you prevent it, not for any amount of money. And love cannot be imprisoned, nor can it be legislated. Love is not a substance, not a commodity, not even a marketable power source. Love has no territory, no borders, no quantifiable mass or energy output. One can buy sex partners and even marriage partners. Marriage is a matter for the law, for rules and courts and property rights. In the past, the marriage price or dowry, and in the present, alimony and the prenuptial agreement make it clear that marriage is all about contracts. But as we all know, marriages, whether arranged or not, may have little to do with love. Sexual stimulation and gratification, whether by way of mouths and objects and fantasy play and all that, can certainly be bought and sold, not to mention used to sell other things. Whether sex should be for sale is another question entirely, but love itself can't be sold. One can buy loyalty, companionship, attention, and perhaps even compassion, but love itself cannot be bought. Love cannot be turned on as a reward. It cannot be turned off as a punishment. Only something else pretending to be love can be used as a lure, as a hook for bait and switch, imitated, insinuated, but the real deal can never be delivered if it doesn't spring freely from the heart. And it doesn't mean that love allows destructive and abusive behaviors to go unchecked. Love speaks out for justice and protects when harm is being done. Love points out the consequences of hurting oneself or others. Love allows room for anger, grief, or pain to be expressed and released. But love does not threaten to withhold itself if it doesn't get what it wants. Love does not say directly or indirectly, if you are a bad boy, mommy won't love you anymore. Love does not say, daddy's little girl doesn't do that. Love does not say, if you want to be loved, you must be nice, or do what I want, or never love anyone else, or promise you'll never leave me. Love cares what becomes of you because love knows that we are all interconnected. Love is inherently compassionate and empathetic. Love knows that the other is also oneself. This is the true nature of love, and love itself cannot be manipulated or restrained. Love honors the sovereignty of each soul. Love is its own law. That's
wow.
it. Powerful.
Now that. Yeah, I love that. I was like, mm-hmm.
I know. I thought I heard you.
Oh, I love it. No, that was awesome. That was awesome. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for letting me. And I know we're past time. So thank you for all who listened. If you didn't, come back and listen to it again. But, I really do hope, I know that Dolly joins me with this. This is about the power of love. And if you really understood its freedom, its beauty, its elegance, its absolute power. Love to me is a gangster. That's the real thing. And if we understood it better, then I think that we really have a beautiful world to live in. And we can do that. We can do that. It will come. If we have all of the things that you and I have and we share with the world, we can see a much better world show up in our future. So.
Yeah. Well, one last comment from Brian was he loved the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that being said, thank you, ladies, for a wonderful message today. It's amazing and so powerful. Yes, indeed, it was, because love is powerful. And with that being said, we want to wish you a good night, and we want to thank you for taking the time out of your evening to be with us and to share this special hour. We hope to see you again next week, Wednesday, same time and channel, right? So,
yes.
Anita, Myers, Powers, love you.
I love you, Dolly. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you again next week.